Welcome to HFY Stories. Please subscribe to the channel. Your one click means the world to me. The claws stopped a hand's width from Luna Martinez's throat and simply stayed there, trembling, six curved blades holding a stillness that made no sense for a creature bred to kill in under 4 seconds. That wasn't supposed to happen. Almost nothing that came after was. 3 nights before, Luna hadn't slept. While her fellow cadets packed gear for their solo evaluations, she'd pulled every file the Academy archive would surrender on the species native to Kepler 438b, a world so hostile its atmosphere carried its own classification as a weapon. Buried in a footnote nobody had flagged, she found the detail that mattered: isolate one of these predators from its pack, and its stress chemistry didn't sharpen into aggression. It cracked. Then she pulled 2 years of incident reports and found an uglier pattern. 3 cadets dead in the same exercise over the same 18 months. All human, all alone in the chamber when it happened. The odds of that being accident sat near zero. She didn't need Alex Foster's math to know it, though later he'd hand her the number anyway, small enough to end careers. She spent that last night deciding what kind of soldier she was going to be. Commander Vexthak met her at the chamber door wearing concern like a mask that didn't fit his exoskeleton. He suggested, twice, that she postpone. Both times she said no, and meant it as a promise to herself more than an answer to him. "You'll be observing a shadow more," Dr. Krilln told her, 4 hands busy across his tablets. "Apex of its world, untamable. Pack animal too, though, isn't she?" The pause before his answer lasted exactly long enough to confirm what she already knew. The chamber sealed behind her like a verdict, 30 meters of false twilight, walls built to look transparent and function like a coffin. In the center, something huge paced a groove it had worn into its own nerves. Luna didn't run, she sat. "Rough day," she said, low, the register she'd used on soldiers bleeding out and trying not to show it. "They took your whole world and gave you a box instead." The creature's charge, already loading, hesitated. Its head tilted, not calculation, something closer to a question. That was when the room above decided to cheat. Krilln's hands moved across the environmental board, heat rolled through the chamber like a wave, and a sonic pulse hit at a frequency built for a Kepler nervous system. The creature screamed, then turned its back to the speakers and put its body between the sound and Luna. She understood then she wasn't looking at a weapon. She was looking at an ally nobody had thought to ask. "My turn," she murmured, and the device she pulled from her pack had no business being there. The EMP didn't just kill the sonic rig, it killed the building. Every containment field in the facility failed at once, and somewhere above, Vexthak's voice cracked into something that wasn't quite a scream but was climbing there fast. She cut the chamber open with a plasma torch that was, technically, several felonies. The creature, Nyx, she'd started calling her somewhere in the smoke, pressed close against her side as they slipped into the maintenance dark, and Luna felt that enormous warmth like a hand steadying her shoulder. 3 specimens confirmed loose, a technician reported. 16 more unaccounted for, the human and the shadow more among them. "Find them," Vexthak snapped. He wouldn't, not for a long while, not until Luna decided to be found. She gathered her people in a stairwell that smelled of ozone and old coolant. Jake Thompson, built like a doorway you'd regret walking through. Priya Patel, whose father commanded half the Earth Defense Force's diplomatic weight. Alex Foster, who could make a database confess faster than most interrogators. She told them everything. Nobody spoke for a long 5 seconds. "You brought the predator," Jake finally said, hand drifting toward his sidearm. "She's the reason I'm alive to tell you this. Put it away." He did. While alarms chewed through the upper levels, something from Vega Prime had seized the intercom and was broadcasting what could only be a mating call to the entire academy. Alex pulled records nobody had meant to leave findable: payment logs, target selections, a trail running straight to Vexthak's office. Priya burst it all to her father on Centauri Prime, and a very calm admiral began making very uncalm calls. Then Luna went hunting, not to kill, to be seen. She and Nix moved through the corridors like a rumor, glimpsed in doorways, heard in vents, never quite caught. Officers who'd spent careers looking down on human cadets found themselves flinching at shadows. Krilln broke first, locking himself in a lab. Vexthak lasted one meal longer. He was eating alone when the vent above his desk came apart, and Luna dropped into the chair across from him, Nix filling the doorway a breath later. "You can't be in here," he said, backing into the wall so hard his exoskeleton rattled. "Funny thing about walls, they don't keep secrets as well as you'd like." She let the quiet sit. "She hears better than any sensor you've installed. She heard you discussing a payment schedule. She heard Krilln fretting about how fast we adapt. She heard you laugh about how clean Marcus Webb's file looked once you'd finished with it." I would never." "You did." Luna's voice lost every trace of softness. "You built this whole operation on the idea that we'd break like everything else you've ever hunted. You never once asked what happens when the thing you're hunting turns around." Nix rose to her full height in the doorway, 3 meters of muscle and starlit fur, and Vexthak made a sound that wasn't quite a word. His mandibles hammered against each other, and for a moment he looked less like a commander and more like something small caught very far from its burrow. "I've spent 4 days deciding what kind of enemy to be," Luna said, standing. "Turns out I'd rather be the kind who lets the Admiral's people find you breathing." She paused at the door, Nix falling into step beside her with a fluency that hadn't existed 4 days ago. "You've got about an hour before that stops being a courtesy." He didn't run. There was nowhere left to run to. Galactic investigators arrived within the hour. Vexthak, Krilln, and 14 others went into restraints while Jake's recordings, time-stamped, authenticated, undeniable, were logged as evidence too clean to challenge. By nightfall, the story had crossed half the settled galaxy. Every human cadet quietly marked for an accident walked out cleared, commended, and for the first time since enrollment, believed. It took the Academy 3 months to build Nix a habitat that mirrored the twilight of a world she'd never see again, stocked with others of her kind, flown in on the Admiral's own order. Nobody made her stay inside it. Luna found her most mornings exactly where she found her now, curled at the threshold of her quarters, head lifting the instant the door opened, eyes catching the hallway light and throwing it back gold. "Ready?" Luna asked, the way she asked every day. Nix uncoiled and pressed her skull once against Luna's open palm, the same gesture that had first crossed the distance between predator and prisoner in a chamber neither of them had been meant to leave. Then they went out together, down a corridor crowded with cadets and creatures who, 1 season ago, would have sworn something like this was impossible. A human and a Death World hunter, walking the same direction, at the same pace, toward whatever came next.